Snow drifted softly outside the cafe window, each flake melting against the glass as if even winter didn't want to linger too long. Inside, the cafe glowed with warm yellow lights and quiet Christmas music, but Emma felt none of it reach her. She sat at a small round table near the window, her hands wrapped tightly around a mug of cocoa she hadn't ordered for comfort but for something to hold. Across from her was an empty chair, its polished wood shining accusingly under the lights. That chair was supposed to be filled by the man from the blind date, someone who, according to her well-meaning coworker, was nice and open-minded. Emma had believed that meant kind. She had dressed carefully that evening, choosing her cleanest coat and the scarf her mother once gave her before she passed away. She'd brushed her hair twice, practicing a smile in the mirror that said she was confident, that she hadn't been disappointed before. She told herself this was just coffee. Just conversation. Just another chance. Still, hope crept in quietly, the way it always did, uninvited and fragile. When the man finally arrived, he barely looked at her face. His eyes skimmed quickly over her clothes, her posture, the faint nervousness she couldn't hide no matter how hard she tried. He sat down, asked her name as if he'd already forgotten it, and checked his phone twice in under a minute. Emma answered his questions politely, her voice soft, her smile careful. Then he cleared his throat and said something about an urgent call, an apology that didn't reach his eyes. Before she could respond, he stood up, placed a few bills on the table, and walked away. The bell over the cafe door chimed cheerfully as it closed behind him, far too cheerful for the quiet ache spreading through her chest. Emma stared at the empty chair, heat rising behind her eyes. She told herself not to cry. Not here. Not now. Christmas was days away, and she'd promised herself she wouldn't let another disappointment ruin it. She reached for her coat, fingers trembling slightly as she stood, determined to leave before anyone noticed the loneliness written all over her. "Excuse me." The voice was small, clear, and impossibly gentle. Emma turned and saw a little girl at the next table, her legs swinging beneath the chair, a red bow slipping sideways from her dark hair. The child was watching her with open curiosity, not pity, not judgment, just interest. Behind her sat a man, eyes tired, shoulders heavy, staring into his untouched coffee as if lost somewhere far away. "Yes?" Emma said, forcing a smile. The little girl tilted her head. "Why are you sad?" The question caught Emma off guard. Adults had mastered the art of pretending not to notice. Children hadn't. Emma crouched slightly so she was closer to the girl's eye level. "It's okay," she said softly. "Just one of those days." The girl frowned, clearly unconvinced. She slipped off her chair and walked closer, her mittened hand gently tugging at the sleeve of Emma's coat. "Mommy says sad people shouldn't be alone at Christmas," she said with complete certainty. Something inside Emma cracked open, warm and painful all at once. For the first time that night, the cold inside her chest eased, not because the rejection hurt less, but because, unexpectedly, someone had seen her. Daniel hadn't intended to bring Lily to the cafe that evening. The blind date had been his coworker's idea, a polite attempt to get him back into the world after the quiet, lonely months following his wife's passing. He hadn't been interested, at least not in meeting someone new that way. But Lily, his 7-year-old daughter, had begged him. "Daddy, please. I want to see the Christmas lights and drink cocoa like the stories." Her excitement had been impossible to resist, and so here they were, the two of them slipping into the cozy cafe while snowflakes danced outside. Daniel had barely settled in with his own cup of coffee when his phone buzzed with a text from the blind date, canceling at the last moment. He had barely registered the relief of not needing to meet a stranger when Lily's attention shifted. Her bright eyes were fixed on a woman sitting alone at the next table, a woman whose shoulders slumped slightly, hands wrapped around a steaming mug, eyes staring out the window as if waiting for something, or someone, that would never arrive. Lily's curiosity bubbled over. "Daddy, why is she sad?" she asked, pointing toward Emma with the innocent directness only a child could manage. Daniel felt a flicker of discomfort. He didn't want to impose or appear intrusive, but Lily was already inching toward the woman. "Lily," he said gently, "don't bother her, okay?" "I'm not bothering," Lily said, a small frown creasing her forehead. "I just like her." Daniel's chest tightened. He watched as Lily approached Emma, her red bow bouncing with each step, her mittened hands reaching for Emma's coat sleeve. Emma looked up, startled, her soft eyes meeting Lily's unwavering gaze. And then, something shifted. Emma smiled, a quiet, hesitant smile, but a smile nonetheless. Daniel could see her shoulders relax, the tension in her hands easing as she knelt slightly to meet Lily's height. The little girl then did something entirely unexpected. She patted the empty chair at their table and gestured with earnest enthusiasm. "You can sit with us," she said as if offering an invitation to a long-lost friend rather than a stranger. Emma's laughter came softly, nervous and warm all at once. Daniel stepped closer, murmuring a quiet apology, but Emma waved him off. "She's lovely," she said simply. It was true. The girl's innocence, her unabashed kindness, had pierced through the wall of disappointment Emma had built around herself. Daniel felt a pang of something unfamiliar, hope, watching the connection form between them in the midst of the cozy cafe. They spent the next hour talking. Lily chattered about her favorite Christmas songs, the way she liked to help decorate the tree at home, and the stockings she insisted were magical. Emma responded in kind, listening more than she spoke, her laughter gradually becoming genuine, her sadness slowly dissolving in the warmth of human connection. Daniel watched, a quiet, protective presence, as Emma's heart seemed to reach toward them, willing to trust in a fleeting yet profound moment of kindness. When the hour came to leave, Lily's small voice faltered. "Will you come back?" she asked, and for a moment Emma hesitated. Life had taught her caution. But Daniel's steady eyes, filled with sincerity, silently encouraged her. "We'd like that," he said. And just like that, a new, fragile hope began to blossom in all their hearts, fragile as snow yet glowing with the warmth of Christmas. Christmas Eve arrived with the quiet magic of falling snow and streets lit with golden lights reflecting off icy pavements. Emma's heart raced as she stood outside Daniel's apartment building, a small, carefully wrapped gift clutched in her hands. The evening felt impossibly surreal. Just weeks ago, she had been rejected on a blind date, her hopes dashed like fragile ornaments dropped on the floor. Now, here she was, returning to the warmth of a home she hadn't known she might belong to. When Daniel opened the door, Lily squealed, her excitement bubbling over as she ran straight into Emma's arms. "Santa brought you," she declared proudly, hugging Emma tightly. Emma laughed, feeling an unexpected joy in her chest that had nothing to do with gifts or decorations. She followed them inside, where the apartment was cozy, scented with cinnamon and pine, with small twinkling lights decorating the room. They spent the evening baking cookies, the kitchen filled with laughter and the gentle chaos only a child could create. Emma helped Lily roll dough into stars and candy canes, flour dusting her sleeves, while Daniel watched from the counter, a soft smile tugging at his lips. Emma felt herself easing into a rhythm she hadn't allowed herself to feel in years, being part of something small, warm, and unbroken. Each laugh, each gentle touch from Lily, felt like a thread weaving her into a tapestry of belonging she hadn't realized she'd been craving. Later, as the night deepened and the glow of the tree reflected in their eyes, Lily curled up sleepily on the couch, a blanket pulled tightly around her shoulders. Her eyes, still bright despite the late hour, met Emma's with a seriousness that made her heart pause. "Can you be my new mom?" Lily asked, voice soft but steady, as if she had been rehearsing the words in secret. Emma froze, her chest tight, and looked toward Daniel, who had been arranging cookies on a plate. His eyes were gentle, patient, waiting. Emma knelt beside Lily, taking the child's small hands in hers. "I can't replace your mommy," she said softly, her voice trembling slightly, "but if you'd like, I can love you too." Lily's face broke into a radiant smile, the kind of smile that could make even the coldest winter feel like spring. She threw her arms around Emma once more, holding on with the fierce certainty of a child's love. Daniel watched silently, feeling a warmth he hadn't thought possible since his wife's passing. Outside, the city hummed with quiet Christmas joy, the sounds of bells echoing through the streets. Inside, in a small apartment filled with laughter and the smell of cookies, Emma realized that rejection had led her here, not to another empty chair in a cafe, but to a family she hadn't dared imagine. And for the first time in a long while, Christmas truly felt like home.